Hi, we're here during the 54th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, and this year the Commission is reviewing progress over the last 15 years since the Beijing conference. And this is the second of our interviews with Baha'i delegates to the Commission, and we're here today with Mary Aune from Brazil. She is a representative of the Baha'i community of Brazil and is here to share with us some of the experiences from Brazil, working at the national level as well as the regional and local levels in the general area of the advancement of women, and more specifically on the issue of violence against women. So welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Julia.
So our first question is, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your work with the National Forum on Human Rights Education, and specifically working on the theme of violence against women.
Well, the National Forum on Human Rights Education was created in 2000, and it works with the theme of human rights education in general. And one of the things that we've been doing is these seminars that help capacitate people who are working with the legal framework of the new legislation that has been approved in Brazil. It's called the Maria da Penha law, and it's on violence against women. So it's a very recent piece of legislation that has been approved. The whole history goes back to the case of one Brazilian woman who was, her husband tried to kill her twice, and she ended up in a wheelchair, and Brazil was not able to work with that case to prevent that from happening. So what we've had so far is that even though we had pieces of legislation that worked together to protect women against these things, the judicial system, the legal system in Brazil wasn't efficient enough to work with this. So Brazil was actually taken to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, and one of the things that the court said that Brazil had to do to redress this case was to create, consistent legislation, and that's when the legal framework came about as the Maria da Penha law. And the National Forum on Human Rights Education has been doing seminars to train people who deal with the law, such as judges, prosecutors, police people, firemen, and everybody that works within this framework to actually be able to understand what domestic violence is against women, and to not diminish the importance of this this phenomena that we have in Brazilian society and worldwide as well. So we had the first seminar in 2001, which is prior to the legislation, and it was together with the Tahrir Justice Center. And after that, we had a couple of years during which this thematic was being debated in the Brazilian society, and the final outcome was the law, the legislation. And in August 2006, when it was signed by the president and came into force, that was when we had the second version of the seminar, and it was really the first seminar in Brazil that was directed to training people in this legal framework. So it was very significant, and we had different women's NGOs and the government and the Ministry for Women, which is actually the Special Secretariat for Women in Brazil, were partners with the National Forum on Human Rights Education and the Baha'i community to promote this. So this was really a great step for Brazilian society.
And what was the response from those who were collaborating with you and the population that you were training and working with? Was it well received?
It was very well received, because, as I mentioned, it was the first seminar after the law had been passed and signed by the president. So because civil society had been so much involved in the previous years trying to draft this legislation in a way that it would actually make a difference for women in Brazil, when we were producing the seminar, when we were organizing it, there were so many important actors that we thought that had to be part of this process. And so we worked very closely to the women's NGOs, the ministry, as I said, the Ministry for Women, but also there was a huge demand on the local population. The first seminar was in Brasilia, and then we had one in the south of the country and one in the Amazon region, and people had to register to participate, and the demand was so huge. And then after that, since 2006, we've been repeating the seminar in different parts of Brazil, and it's always been a very good success. It's been impressive.
So you were also mentioning to me that alongside the work that you're doing at the national level, that the Baha'i community is also involved in various regions and also working at the local level in various capacities and focusing not only on violence against women, but a whole range of issues affecting women, children, and youth. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what form those activities take, what is the purpose that they are intended for, and how do they seek to promote the advancement of women and the advancement of society in general?
Well, the Baha'i community at the local level works with different kinds of activities that are aimed at developing the capacity of people to actually become actors and involved in the transformation of society. You have to transform yourself, but you also have to be, actively involved in the transformation of society. So, beginning with children's classes that explore the equality of girls and boys and help them work together, as human beings and not as different genders who have different roles in society, but really as human beings who are being helping them to develop their skills, to recognize the unity of humanity and their important roles in society. And then the junior youth programs, which also have helped to have all of these adolescent boys and girls who have so much energy and so much to give to the world in terms of service. If they understand they're not only the beneficiaries of this, but they could be leading actors and actresses in this process. The whole objective of working at the local level is really to empower people to understand what it really means to be part of this world, and that human beings have this spiritual dimension. We're not just here in this material world to develop the material conditions to then end this life and that's it. There's a spiritual meaning of being a member of society, and when we're ready to help these women in the local level, in the grassroots, to actually understand that they can actively provoke change if they only understand that they have all of this potential to collaborate. They're not just passive elements in society. They can really make a difference. And this goes about in groups where you're not being taught to do that. It's really more a matter of understanding that you have these abilities, and all you have to do is share experiences, work with each other, recognizing everyone the capacity to work together to make a difference. So this is a whole empowerment, and it's not only for women, of course, it's for women and men all the same, and working together. I think this is the beauty of it.